Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jeff Resnick. I'm Chief of the History of Medicine Division here at the National Library of Medicine, and it's a privilege and a pleasure for me to welcome all of you to today's lecture. Welcome. It's a special one, as all of you know, and we all know here at the library, as we celebrate this very special week, the 20th anniversary of the first publication of the first Harry Potter book, and a week when we recognize and we appreciate the history which underpins the Harry Potter story. So before you leave today, if you haven't already done so, I encourage you to stop by the History of Medicine Division reading room in Building 38, the adjacent building. Several of our staff, our colleagues are here who can walk you over to see our special display of a number of rare and unique items from our collection which illustrate the history which underpins the Harry Potter story. So please, if you haven't seen this special display, we encourage you to stop by. It's open through the close of business tomorrow, a wonderful occasion, and I want to give a great shout out to my colleagues in the History of Medicine Division, Jill Newmark and Erica Mills especially, who have put this together in cooperation with many on our team. They've done an outstanding job for an outstanding occasion. So congratulations to them, and thank you all for your interest, and again for coming today. The lecture series of the NLM's History of Medicine Division promotes awareness and use of NLM and other historical collections for research, education, and public service in the areas of biomedicine, the social sciences, and the humanities. The series also supports the commitment of our library to recognizing and celebrating diversity. All of our lectures are free and open to the public, and all of our lectures are also live streamed and archived by NIH Videocasting, a public service made possible through a very generous gift to the NLM from the Michael E. DeBakey Medical Foundation. And we're certainly grateful to the DeBakey Medical Foundation for this gift, which supports our programs, and this one, our series, so that it can be recorded and enjoyed and appreciated by many on this day as we live stream, and many more in the archive format at NIH Videocasting. So thanks very much to the DeBakey Medical Foundation. Before I introduce our speaker for today, I'd like to take a moment to let you know about a new book that has been published recently. This is what it looks like. The National Library of Medicine's Digital Collections Repository now offers a free PDF of this entire book. It is an illustrated history of the National Library of Medicine published by Arcadia Publishing. It came out this past Monday, and the library, as I mentioned, is making it freely available in cooperation with Arcadia Publishing through our Digital Collections Repository. So to learn more about this new book, you can go to the NLM homepage, nlm.nih.gov, and look for the news items on the right-hand side and click on the first news release, and that has all the information about this book, how it came together, and its free availability thanks to our partnership with the Arcadia Publishing. So we're thrilled about this, and I'll also add that all of the 170 plus images in the book in their original form are also available in digital collections, and you can learn all about that through that news release. We're having a special symposium to mark the publication of this book and its free availability from the library. It's going to be on Thursday, July 13th, beginning at 2:30 in Lipset Auditorium, which is located here on the NIH campus in Building 10, the Clinical Center. And like this lecture, the symposium on the 13th of July will be videocast worldwide, and we encourage you to tune in if you can't join us on site, but we hope you can to help us mark the occasion of this great new illustrated history and its free availability from NLM. So on to today's speaker, which is why you're here. This is our colleague, Dr. Stephen Greenberg, who's head of our Rare Books and Early Manuscripts section in the History of Medicine Division. It's my privilege to introduce him. Dr. Greenberg received his doctorate in early modern history from Fordham University with a dissertation on early printing and publishing. Dr. Greenberg also holds a library degree from Columbia University specializing in rare books and archival management. His research and publications span a number of fields, including the history of printing and publishing, the history of medical librarianship, and the history of medical photography. Dr. Greenberg is the past chair of the Medical Library Association's History of the Health Sciences section and past president of a group called the Archivists and Librarians in the History of the Health Sciences, also known as ALHHS, for those who know about that organization. Dr. Greenberg has lectured and taught nationwide, and he's the recipient of numerous awards, including the ALHHS Publications Award of 2011 and the National Institutes of Health Award of Merit in 2013. Dr. Greenberg is also an adjunct professor at both the Catholic University here in DC and the University of Maryland in College Park, where he lectures on the history of the book. Dr. Greenberg will take questions after his presentation, and if you do have a question for him, if you look in front of you, there's a microphone and a little button. Just make sure you press the button so that the red light goes on, so that we all can hear your question, and those who are watching from the video cast can hear the question as well. So thanks in advance for doing that. Please join me now in welcoming Dr. Greenberg and thanking him in advance for his talk, which is provocatively but yet practically entitled Monsters in the Stacks: How Harry Potter Came to the NLM.
I promise only one cute graphic, but it is cute. It's really a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to see some old friends I haven't seen in a while and meet some new ones. Because in a way, this was all my fault. So this isn't exactly Hogwarts, though we do have our scary moments here with the architecture. And sometimes we have been known to wear our wizarding robes. And for those who don't know who that is John Shaw Billings, not technically the first director of the library, but the man who made the library start along the path to being what we are today, the world's largest medical library and the world's largest history of medicine collection. I did consider wearing robes today, but I just can't carry it off like Dr. Billings. So. And of course, Harry Potter is not actually the first time that we made a foray into literature. In 1997, we had an exhibit here at the library, a very large exhibit, which also had a web presence and a movie series and much more, on the subject of Frankenstein, specifically how the story of Dr. Frankenstein and his creature could be used as a prism to examine what happens when medical science and research goes a little bit hairy. Obviously, Victor Frankenstein did not have an IRB. And this is a photograph from the opening night, and some of you may recognize the former head of the History of Medicine Division, Dr. Elizabeth Fee, as the bride. She really does the wig well, doesn't she? But at about the same time that we were doing this, we had to deal with the intellectual choices one approaches when you try to take a piece of literature and make it into a prism, or at least a vantage point, to examine science. And of course, there are two Frankenstein stories. There's the Frankenstein story of the movie, where you have the monster that just goes grunt, grunt, grunt. And even though the monster can never seem to move more than about 2 miles an hour, can always catch up with a healthy young woman running as fast as she can. And then, of course, you have the other Frankenstein creature, and that's the story told by Mary Shelley in her novel. And what you're seeing here in the lower right is a copy of the original novel, which we borrowed from the University of Pennsylvania because, you know, Frankenstein was out of scope for the library, so we needed to borrow a copy. And if you've ever read the novel, you'll know that the creature in the novel is quite literate, reads French and German, is depressed because he learned German by reading Goethe's Sorrows of Young Werther, which is like about the most depressing piece of German literature you can ever think of. So you have to kind of pick your battles a little bit. And of course, we did both, because we could. But as I said, at the same time that we're doing that, J.K. Rowling is publishing Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, which is the proper title, the way it is titled in Great Britain. And in the US, of course, it's Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, allegedly because the people at Scholastic felt that American school kids would not buy a book that said Philosopher on the title page. Well, oops on that one. You know, when I was looking back over the years and all the things we've done with Harry Potter, it strikes me how much this book has to do with the simple act of reading and how many people, my kids, for example, grew up reading Harry Potter, and they were fortunately at just about the right age, so that they were the same age, at least my daughter was the same age as Harry Potter as he was going through Hogwarts. By the time J.K. Rowling published the last of the Harry Potter novels, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, in July of 2007, the print run was 44 million copies. Now that's paper, just of that one novel. I'm not counting the Kindle and the Nook and all the other different electronic downloads. So for people who say people don't buy books anymore, well, it's kind of an interesting question. I'll return to that a little bit more later on. So this is how it gets to be my fault. I give a lot of tours in the History of Medicine division. And our Office of Community and Public Liaison calls me up and says, Steve, we have X number of people. They're coming by in an hour. Show them a rare book. So if it's a bunch of nurses from the clinical center or a visiting diplomat or a bunch of bibliophiles visiting from France, it's kind of easy. But if it's July and it's a bunch of middle school kids, it's a little harder. It's a lot harder. And it's summer. And it's Wednesday. And the last Harry Potter novel is due to come out on Saturday. And of course, Saturday night at midnight, right? How many of you have been to those parties? Like I said, I've got 2 kids. So I brought them this. And I did not have this picture at that point. I wish I did. So this is Nicholas Flamel. And he's the guy who in the first Harry Potter novel creates the magic stone that makes you live forever, and incidentally, in its spare time, turns lead into gold. Well, they may not know a whole lot about alchemy, but they sure knew who Nicholas Flamel was, and Nicholas Flamel was a real guy. Obviously, the stone didn't work too well, because he died. And the treatises that we have are 200 years after his death. And there is kind of a discussion, which I'm not going to take sides on, because the treatises we know have been mangled a little bit, and they're incomplete, and it's not entirely clear whether he was pro or con on the subject of alchemy. You can take your pick on this one. And of course, what is alchemy anyway? It's chemistry that doesn't work. And for those of you who were here for Elizabeth Bland's talk, and it's nice to have Elizabeth in the audience as well, this is when it got to be fun. Because if you come to our reading room, and I do hope you do to see the exhibit either today or tomorrow, you can see where we have our oldest and rarest books in a nice glassed-in room. And picture me standing there with 15 or 20 middle school kids who are very excited. And you know, it's a library reading room. You don't get usually like, in there. So when the kids left, people in our exhibition unit came out and said, so what's the scoop? And I said, well, and I explained the situation. And they said, how many books do we have in the collection with Harry Potter connections? Well, J.K. Rowling did her homework, and I don't think she gets enough credit for that. I mean, she's a remarkably imaginative person. But the best imaginative stories are based on a kernel or several kernels of fact. She did her homework. So the answer is a few thousand. So by Friday, we had our first exhibit. Then we had this one here, which is Elizabeth's work. And then we have the traveling banner exhibit, which is on display. And I'm not going to tell you any more about this because I'm going to be a tease. Come see it yourself. And of course, if you can't, it's on the web and it travels, which is good too. That's a chocolate frog in case you didn't figure that one out. So picture for a moment Harry Potter and young Mr. Weasley on the train on the Hogwarts Express for the first time, and they're talking about all the people on the little cards that come with the chocolate frogs, remember? And you've got real people, Flamel, who I've already mentioned, Agrippa, Paracelsus, Ptolemy, more about them in a moment. You have some people who are mythological creatures, okay, Circe, Morgana, Merlin. And then you've got the people that Rowling created out of whole cloth. And I have to say, I cannot think of another author, with the possible exception of Dickens, who is so good at names for characters. Really. I mean, they're just great. I mean, I would love to name my son Hengist, but I don't think he'd buy it. So I've already spoken a little bit about Flamel. Let's talk about some of the others. Agrippa is a very, very nice one to start with. And by the way, all of the books you see illustrated here are from the History of Medicine Division collection, and many of them are on display now. Agrippa is the numbers guy, okay? All sorts of mythical patterns. Numerology is a very wonderful thing for telling people's fortunes. And of course, fortunes and futures appear in all the Harry Potter novels. Sometimes they're done better than others. Prophecies. And you always want to kind of add things up until you come up with the magic numbers like 3 and 9 and 7 and prime numbers in general. And Rowling uses them very sparingly because her attitude seems to be that if you can tell the future, it's not because you are reading the numbers right, you just have sort of a gift. And this is a 16th century edition of Agrippa, and this is a compilation. This is a rather big copy. And of course, it's hard to do the numbers on this because a lot of them are Roman numbers. And if you think it's hard to do with Arabic numbers, try doing this when you don't have a zero. And my buddy Paracelsus, more correctly, and this is again, this is not a J.K. Rowling name, but I'm sure she's jealous. His full name was Philippus Aurelius Theophrastus Bombastus von Hohenheim. And Paracelsus isn't really a real name anyway. He wanted to be like another scientist whose name was just Celsus. So it's Paracelsus. And Paracelsus he's a remarkable individual. He's usually shown in an illustration similar to what you see here. He's always shown balding with that amulet around his neck, and he's holding a very large sword. You're seeing the pommel. It's a broadsword. And in that round, and do I have a pointer here? I bet I do. Actually, I can do this here. Okay? In the pommel of the sword is allegedly a piece of the Philosopher's Stone, just in case he needed it. Got killed in a bar fight. On the one hand, he was very deeply into alchemy and mysticism. On the other hand, he was remarkably important in the history of pharmacology. Before Paracelsus, pharmacology in the West was largely based on materia medica, which really means plant extracts and distillations. It is Paracelsus who introduced into the pharmacy the use of heavy metals. I don't mean metallica. I mean arsenic, mercury, lead, antimony. A seriously strange guy. We have dozens and dozens of works because in the collection by Paracelsus. And they're especially interesting because he actually made much of his money printing and selling small, fairly inexpensive treatises, very specific, how to do this, how to do that. He never published one on how to turn lead into gold because he said, that one's for me. A couple of other people whose works are kind of useful. Conrad Gesner, great, I guess you would call him a naturalist by modern standards. Large, beautifully illustrated books of beasts and plants and fish. The unicorn I started out with is in fact a Gesner unicorn. And you may have noticed that was in color. because back in the day, we're talking the 16th century, you would print an image like that with a black and white, with black ink and a wooden block, and then you paint it in color. There was no way to print in color until the 19th century. And then Ambroise Paré. Paré's an interesting guy. He is a surgeon, and he's a barber surgeon. He's not an academically trained physician, but he was a practical man, and he was a military surgeon in the French army during a period when the French army was always at war with somebody. These are the wars of religion in the 16th century. And he was usually with the French army. I say usually because at one point he was captured by the Spanish army, and they wouldn't let him go because he said what a great physician and surgeon he is, so we'll keep him here for a bit. And since Paré was not an academic surgeon, or rather an academic physician, he spoke no Latin, and Latin was the language of scholarship at that point in Europe. So he would also publish these little treatises, how to reduce a fracture, how to relieve a dislocated joint, how to saw a leg off, how to sew a new one back on. And the second one was harder. And he would print these little treatises, and when, later in his life, when he was quite successful, he was the surgeon to several successive French kings. He gathered all his stuff together and published a complete works in 1580 in French. And the academic physician said, well, how good can this be? It's not in Latin. So he spent the money to have the book translated into Latin and still got no respect, and he said, the heck with it, and published another French edition in 1585. And it's a remarkable book because it is not just surgery, though he is the man who basically invented the modern technique of suturing. Back then, if there was a wound that had to be closed, you cauterized it, either with acid or with something very hot. But Paré realized you could sew things shut. And what makes the edition in 1585 the most interesting is that he includes an extra chapter, which is an autobiographical chapter, in which he talks about all the things that he did. And he ends every case by saying, I treated him, but God cured him. I've always found him a very appealing character. And these are illustrations from some of the different works we've been talking about. We have our friend, the unicorn down here. We have an alembic. This is used for distilling things, and this actually comes from the Paré book. Even though Paré was not a pharmacist, he included pharmaceutical works. And what you would do here is you'd put your solution down here where the A is, you'd boil it, the liquid would escape as steam through these little vents here, and the distillate, the concentrate, would accumulate in these cute little bottles up here. Then you have some earlier stuff, and of course you have to have a mandrake because this is a Harry Potter talk. So this is a mandrake because there are female mandrakes, which is kind of hard to say. And again, these are all woodcuts, wooden blocks, and any coloring you see is watercolor that was put on top. But of course, the great granddaddy of all of the alchemy and pharmaceutical works is Brunswick. This is printed in Strasbourg in 1512. And again, it's a wooden block, and the color that you're seeing is added later. And I want to stop for a second and talk a little bit more about the physical books that we're talking about. When we were all in the third grade, right, they told us this guy named Gutenberg invented printing one summer in 1450 and printed Bibles, and the world was different. Ring a bell? Yeah. Did you ever notice that everything they teach you in the third grade was a lie? Everything. Gutenberg did not invent printing. Printing had been invented in China and Japan long before Gutenberg. But it's hard to print in Chinese or Japanese. You have thousands of characters you have to deal with. If you are going to print in Latin, you only need about 100. And what Gutenberg invented, we think, because the only information we actually have is from the bankruptcy records, because he went bankrupt twice. Good printer, bad businessman. What we think he invented was not the press, not the ink, not the paper, but a way of making type fairly quickly and fairly easily using a series of punches and molds. So you're looking at a book here that really is just over half a century after Gutenberg. And already it shows the enormous differences that you get with a printed book, because handwritten books are all going to be different because they're hand done. People will write bigger, they will write smaller. So books before printing, they don't have title pages, they don't have indexes or tables of contents, because everyone would be different. And it took them about 50 years, roughly, 1450 to about 1500, to realize all the stuff that they could do. And books in that first 50 years of printing are called incunabula. It comes from the same root as the word incubator. It's the cradle of printing. And the National Library of Medicine has about 650 medical incunables, which is a lot. Now, the History of Medicine Division and the National Library of Medicine in general is deeply committed to scanning and making accessible electronically as many of our books as we can. And I'm all for that. I think it's wonderful, and I spend a lot of time helping that to happen. But sometimes you lose a little bit when you go from a real book to an electronic book. So this is a little late for our period. This is mid-18th century. And what you're seeing here is the original book and the scan of the book. And I want to point out, just to give you a sense of the size, that's not an iPhone, folks. That's an iPad in the lower left corner. That's a big book. It is Hunter the Gravid Uterus. Some of you may be familiar with it. And those illustrations of the female body are full-sized. Why was this book so big? Because the people who published it were male physicians trying to take over childbirth from the midwives. So the fact that the book is so big is a political thing. Male physicians could do this, midwives could not. And the images on the pad are perfectly clear. Oops, sorry about that. Are perfectly clear, but you don't get all the information. A book is more than text. Though I love old books. Okay. There's a story behind this picture, which is one of mine, but kind of a rare book fantasy here. So, how did you make a book? You needed type. And what you're seeing here is a relatively modern setup that would have been perfectly familiar to not Gutenberg himself, but the people after him. Okay, but not long. Every single piece of type in the case here has one, sometimes two, sometimes even three letters on the piece of type. And you'd have to line it up in the composing stick. And of course, if you can read backwards from the back, it's the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dogs. Then you put this into your press and you'd stamp it. But you'd have to do it in a particular pattern, because you don't just put it on a single sheet of paper, because then it's hard to keep the paper together. So this is another item from the National Library of Medicine collection, and it happens to be a Paracelsus. In the real world, this piece of paper would be folded twice and then sewn in to make the actual book. I've been doing this for a long time, okay? This is the only 16th century complete, unfolded, unsewn book I have ever seen. We have the whole thing. And for those of you who care, you can see this is upside down, so that when you fold it, first you fold it along this line, then along this one. This is a whole sheet. You fold it once, it's a folio. You fold it twice, it's a quarto. And then you tack it down and sew it. So here's the stitching coming out of the folds, which would then be tied around these thongs or cords, and then this would actually go into the binding itself to hold the book together. Until very late in the 19th century, this is how books were made. And the books in the library at Hogwarts, you can be sure would have been made this way. So books continue, and reading continues, and books on paper, electronic books. You all know what this is. I just want to point out that 2 million copies were sold in the first 2 days after publication, just in the US and Canada. And once again, it has that lovely combination of the traditional, the original, the factual, and the imaginative. And of course, the movie, the Newt Scamander movie, again, you have just enough to put yourself in the real world. And that's why I think that it's important that this library, and libraries in general, in the academic world, around the world, continue to remember that it's not one or the other, it's a combination of both. And Elizabeth and I were talking a little bit earlier today about why the Harry Potter world is so welcoming. And it's not an easy world that Harry Potter lives in. He's surrounded by old books and old spells that he doesn't quite understand. There are people who are trying to kill him constantly. It's a dangerous world. And the Harry Potter books grow in sophistication, and they also grow in a body count. People die. And some of them come back as ghosts, and some of them not really so much. And I think that the purpose of any library is to be the memory of its society. And we remember and we create based on what came before. There are some worlds that are particularly, I think, inviting to write your own stories. And again, I know Elizabeth was talking about the fan fiction and the slash fiction. My personal opinion on this one is that the first world that was comfortable enough for people to want to live in it was probably Sherlock Holmes. The whole Baker Street Irregular thing, that Holmes was a real person, and Doyle just was this amateur guy that kept putting out the stuff. Of course, it was harder to do that because Doyle was sloppy. And if you know Sherlock Holmes, was Watson shot in the arm or in the leg in Afghanistan? Look it up. He can't make up his mind. J.K. Rowling is not sloppy. And the other worlds that people like to live in, the Star Trek world, the Star Wars world, even the Tolkien world, and I'm an old Tolkien geek. Okay, they're not always safe worlds, but they're carefully constructed worlds. In fact, Tolkien actually went back and rewrote some of his stuff because as his imagination grew, he said, well, that doesn't work anymore, I've got to go back. Okay. But as long as a library like this one can provide literature in whatever form is appropriate, on-site, if that's what you need, distant, if you can't get here, remembering that the book and the text are two different things, then we still have something to talk about and think about and enjoy together. So thank you for listening, and if you have questions, push the little button and a little red ring will, and Patrick magically turns on the light. Thank you, Patrick. And I will be happy to answer questions. Yes.
I was amused to hear your definition of alchemy because by your definition, I practiced it when I took chemistry in college.
It's amazing how many of those experiments don't actually work the way they're supposed to, isn't it? Yes.
How did you select the photos that you included?
Well, some of them are my own, and then some of them are just pictures from the books.
I meant from the books.
Illustrative of the points I'm trying to make, really. It's, I don't think I've got a system. Of course, some things are kind of expected. You know, you got to have an owl. You got to have a unicorn. Snakes are good. There are griffins and things in the Gesner. Gesner made no distinction about things he had seen and things he had heard about. So there are all sorts of amusing things in there. But you know, the hard part about working where I do is I have so much to choose from. And of course we have, okay, shameless plug, we have 70,000 of our favorite pictures on a searchable website called digital collections, excuse me. Plus we have some other, we've digitized some of these books, and the ones that we haven't done yet, we will be doing shortly. So there's an awful lot of stuff on the website already in pretty high resolution. And since they're public domain, you can kind of download and have fun. That's called accessibility. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Steve, congratulations on discovering the connection between Potter and NLM, which you did a long time ago. How close did you come to getting Rowling to visit here?
Actually, as I recall, there was a possibility early on, but her schedule was just kind of insane. I mean, we were in contact with her and her agents. Jill may remember more of that than I do.
I think at the time that we opened the show, she was giving a commencement speech, like at Yale or Princeton or something, and we were able through contacts to contact her agent, but it was her scheduling that didn't allow her. But she's aware of the exhibition, and but we did get pretty
She'll show
close.
up this afternoon, maybe?
Our fingers are crossed and our wands are at the ready.
Steve, thank you so
Yes.
much. Thank you so much for the talk. Are there interviews with Rowling about where she did her research and how? I mean, I would assume there would be. Or how did she go about her research?
I really don't know, and she's always very quiet about that. You know, she talks about, you know, she had little kids and she would sneak out for an hour and write. And I've never heard her talk about going to a library, but she must have done, okay, because the stuff's in there. It's absolutely right. I mean, you don't run across Nicholas Flamel all that easily, you know. So, but I really don't know how she did her work. I just know it has to have been done. Yes, in the back.
You mentioned that the exhibit is traveling. Do the books go with it too, or they stay here?
The books do not go. The traveling exhibit, we've actually gotten very good at this. The traveling exhibit is a series of banners on a laminated stock and little easels, and they roll up and they travel. And Jill, how many exhibits do we have traveling at the moment?
I think we have 18 titles. We have 46 copies of exhibitions that are traveling. We have 6 copies of Harry Potter because it was that popular.
And we cover all sorts of topics. I mean, we have Harry Potter, we have Frankenstein, though Frankenstein's kind of worn to a nubbin. But we've also done Living with AIDS in the 21st Century and African American academic surgeons and all sorts of stuff. We are nothing if not broad in our scope. Going once, going twice. Thank you very much.